Love your cat but tired of scooping poop?
Maybe an automatic litter box will help. Maybe you're a new cat owner who didn't realize how much work cleaning litter boxes is, or you're a cat owner who just now has to go back to the office and can't spend as much time at home.
Either way, you might have considered an automatic litter box that can do the work for you. But what are the options out there and what can they do?
Today we compare 3 different options at different levels of automation. The most automatic on the list, the Petree Automatic Cat Litter Box Gen 2. The cat enters this fancy washing machine looking thing, and if it's set on auto mode, it will start spinning once the cat exits. Clumping litter is spun and filtered, dumping the solids into a waste drawer and leaving the clean litter behind. You can also set it to clean whenever you want it to on manual mode in the app. The Omega Paw Roll and Clean Self-Cleaning Litter Box. Cat goes in, does its thing, all you have to do is roll the entire box. When it tips upside down, the litter is sifted through the grates inside, leaving you with clean litter, while the clumps fall into a drawer that you can remove and empty. And the PeeWee EcoGranda. A 2-layer system with special wood litter pellets means that excess liquid waste drains through the sieve to the bottom layer and the rest is absorbed into the pellets. As your cat scratches at it, it turns into sawdust which falls through the sieve, meaning you only have to regularly clean out the bottom layer.
But how well do they work? Time to find out.
So we'll be throwing 3 types of waste into these boxes. Number 1, solids in the form of modeling clay.
I have pre-prepared. This is based on my observations of what my actual cats produce on a daily basis.
While your friend makes a cat. Number 2, liquids in the form of water and body mist. Does it smell like Forever Love to you?
On average, a cat produces about 28 milliliters of pee per kilogram of body weight per day. And that translates to about 100 milliliters a day for a 3.5 kilogram cat. So we've created a 50 milliliter measuring cup, which would simulate the amount of pee that a cat would produce in one go.
And number 3, a kind of hybrid between solid and liquid where we mix flour and water. Let's see how they fare. And now the Petree. This one.
I don't smell anything.
I don't smell
anything at all. The bottom of the tray is actually made of rubber, so it's a soft material, it's not a rigid material. Ooh. I think that soft material is helping the wet waste come off more easily, because if you take a look at it right now, it's flexed right downwards due to gravity. So that's gonna force any waste that's clumped and stuck to the bottom of the tray to dislodge.
I don't think this is going to happen with real poop.
I think it could happen. It's a matter of chance depending on the angle that it was, the position that the poop was left in. I think it's possible it could happen, but
did you see the way it came out? It bounced.
It did
like
bounce.
a ping pong ball. Poop doesn't ping pong ball.
And this is much lighter than a real poop would be. But I'm getting a pretty good impression. I did see the bottom of the tray. It was completely clean. The only thing is that you can see maybe 1 or 2 of the smaller poops, the orange ones, going through the grate because they're smaller than the holes on the grate. But that's, I suppose, a problem you'll have with any kind of grate system, including some of the scoops.
I don't know if this is like circumstantial and this only happened to us, but the way it deposited the clean litter back onto the waste seems like it hid most of the poop.
But just looking at the surface of it, looks pretty good.
And this is the PeeWee EcoGranda. Ray's just collecting the poop. Don't mind her. Forever Love, which is the name of the body mist, is immediately assaulting me. I'm not sure what this means for like actual cat pee. Ray is choking. Oh, I don't know if I'm getting used to it or I don't smell Forever Love as much anymore.
So my experience with pine litter is that it actually is very good at absorbing smells, so it could just be working as intended.
Forever Love is not forever.
So how it works is that when the litter gets wet, it loses its shape and returns to sawdust. which can fall through the holes in the grating. Honestly, I feel like it doesn't fall through all the way. Some of the holes are getting clogged up. If your cat is having some health problems and is having diarrhea, we might have some of it get stuck. Okay. The one thing that this litter box doesn't do is, of course, clean the solids. I feel like this is still pretty close to a conventional litter box experience in the sense that I still have to scoop out the poops and I'm probably going to have to do that every day. So it really just helps you get half the job done, really. That being said, my experience with pine litter personally is that the wet waste is the more difficult one to clean. It may be only doing half the job, but it's doing the half that's more troublesome in general. So I do think this would save me time. Next, the OmegaPaw self-cleaning litter box.
We've had to take this apart and put it together a couple times today, and each time we are always kind of struggling with this lid.
Man, having to do that twice a day, it's gonna take a toll.
Do you feel like it saved you any effort at all doing that?
No.
But I will say, as you are rolling this, because of this lid, I don't even smell the corn litter anymore.
So there's a clump there that's stuck to the bottom of the litter box. So I suppose if your cat digs a well that's deep enough that goes all the way to the surface of the box and pees there, it might stick to the surface. So that looks like the semi-solid poop getting stuck on the ceiling, which is gross. So this is kind of a mess, to be honest, and I'm just still gonna have to go in there and scoop it out. Even some of these larger pieces didn't quite go through. Some of it simply got caught in the grate, including this fairly long piece.
So at this point, you are actually doing two jobs. You are doing the job that this OmegaPaw wanted you to do, and you're also doing the job that you would have to do for a traditional litter box.
That's right. The other thing I noticed when pulling it back this way is that it does take some time for the clean litter to come back out through the grates. Let's see how much got stuck behind there.
Ooh,
yeah, there's still a significant amount that's behind the grate. And you'd have to tilt it quite a fair bit, and even then you can see that there's that whole corner there that's not coming back through the grate.
This part has trapped poop in it. The gaps are actually not super evenly sized. So the ones at the very bottom, where the hinge is, they tend to get trapped right there.
If you have a cat that consistently puts out large logs, then you'd be fine. But I'm not sure about this one. So these things are meant to make cleaning easier, but how easy are they to clean? What are your thoughts?
I just thought it was very heavy for one person to sort of not only lift, but also have to rotate when you try to get the water to go around to places where you need it to go. And so if you have a very small bathroom like we just used, it was actually very difficult to A, get it in the bathroom in the first place, and B, also have to point something and then also move it as you go. How easy is this to clean, do you think, out of 10, with 10 being as easy to clean as a traditional litter box?
This one, a lot more nooks and crannies, it's bulkier, it's heavier, and you really want to have a handheld, shower head to get into all the angles. So I would give this a 6 out of 10. So this one is actually bigger than the drum of the Petree if you look at just by width. The thing that I didn't like about this one is that the edges are quite sharp.
They also happen where you really need to get in there and wash it. So these grates are, like Ray said, all sharp edges. So if you don't have a tool, you would get hurt pretty quick.
So I actually think this is less convenient than the drum because I'm adding that mental load of making sure I don't cut myself on the edges, and it's just bigger and bulkier as a whole. So I'm going to give this a slightly worse score. It's maybe a 5 out of 10.
You're very generous.
So this is probably the closest to a traditional litter box that you might have. In fact, the bottom layer basically is a traditional litter box. So the only difficulty comes with the middle layer with the grating. And even then, I think it was only with the semi-solid waste or the diarrhea that you might have getting caught in the grills there. If you just have a regular shower head, I think you'll be able to get most of it off. It's slightly more involved, than a traditional litter box, but still very easy to clean. I give this a solid 8 out of 10. Efficacy and efficiency aside, there are other big concerns when it comes to using automatic cat litter boxes. Price, space, and worries that your cat potentially might get caught in or hurt by the moving parts. To find out more about the practicality of these machines, we speak to cat fosterer Ozzy and cat cafe owner Su Lin to get their perspectives.
Yeah, before this, I have not used an automatic litter box, but I'm currently using one from Pet Kit called the Ep6. The reason why I use them because it's about time. I have like a multiple cat household, right? I have 6. So scooping a litter throughout the day, multiple times a day is very tiring.
With the automatic one, like, how has that frequency changed?
I don't clean at all. It cleans on itself, and I just have to throw away the waste at the end of like 2nd day or 3rd day. So far it's been really good for me. But of course, please research the safety features, the infrared sensors, how well and any bad experiences from previous users. Assessing your cat's ability to adapt or transit is also important, so you don't waste so much money, getting one and then you end up your cat is not going to use it.
In a multi-cat household, hooded litter boxes are actually not advisable, but because after a cat does its business and is in its most vulnerable, it might feel that it could be ambushed when it's trying to come out. If the cats are not getting along well, it might not be so optimal. Hooded litter box would be very pleasant for the owners because it traps the smell in. But if you don't clean it often enough for the cat, it might be very unpleasant for the cat to use it. If it gets too smelly inside, they might not even use it and they might end up defecating outside. So we generally get open litter boxes, and if they're open litter boxes, then the location plays a part as well. Like, it has to be in a quiet location at home, cannot be too busy. It is recommended for the width to be as wide as your cat is long because they do turn around in the litter box before they find a spot to do their business. So the least amount of money you can spend on a litter box is $2 from Daiso. Just have to get a basin with a low H and put some litter in it. Of course, it has to be big enough for your cat. So you can also consider like storage boxes from maybe IKEA or Toyogo to double up as litter boxes. I have this to show you a comparison of the size of the cavity of the inside of an automatic litter box. So it's 14 inch by 14 inch. So this amount of size compared to this. Obviously, our larger cats won't be able to walk in and turn around and be comfortable in this smaller space.
So when should you get an automatic litter box?
Well, it's quite an investment and the cleanup is a little troublesome. But the Petree works well enough that I consider getting one if I was spending long hours away from home or traveling fairly often. But if you're not that kind of person, you might want to consider the PeeWee, which is to us a more convenient version of a traditional litter box.
Though do note it does use pine litter, which Ray does prefer, but you might not. And that's actually the crux of the matter. It's all up to you. What works for you and how automated it is all up to the preferences of you and your cat. For more detail in your reviews, head down to Ray's article on straitstimes.com.
Oh, I forgot there's a GoPro in here.